So, good morning, everyone. Again, good morning. So, I would like to start again with, as usual, with trying to generate good motivations. And for that, we need to kind of bring our mind in moment, settle down quiet by watching the breath mindfully for a few moments. Make yourself comfortable, relax. Keep your back straight. And let the flow of your breath run naturally. And try to simply observe the breath. Observe and be aware. Once your mind is settled down, then we can reflect, contemplate. So far, we have been following our selfish attitude, self-cherishing thought, in order to achieve our own happiness. But we have failed to achieve that happiness. We still struggle to find true, lasting happiness. On the other hand, those great bodhisattvas, they give up that kind of selfish attitude. Generate the cherishing thought for others. Follow that attitude and work for the benefit of others. By doing that, not only they were able to achieve not only they were able to help and benefit so many beings, but they achieve true inner peace, joy, and happiness. What it shows is the selfish attitude do not bring happiness for others and happiness for oneself. True happiness. On the other hand, the cherishing thought for others brings happiness for others and brings happiness for oneself. That being the case, and having some awareness and understanding of that, from now on, I will try as much as best as possible to reduce that selfish attitude. And to cultivate and improve the cherishing thought for others. And to do that, I must reflect, contemplate, meditate, practice correctly, continuously. For that, I need to continue to study, learn, continue to remind ourselves of that. Therefore, I'm going to listen to the talk and engage in those practices. May all of us coming here together to talk, to listen, to engage in discussions, to engage in practice. May all of these become cause and conditions to achieve our highest potential, the fully awakened state. So not only we can be helped, but to be greatest help. And not only for few, but to be able to be help to each and every sentient beings. Okay, then we can do the reflection bodhicitta. Right. Once in English and two in Tibetan. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and Supreme Assembly. by the merits I create through listening to the Dharma. May I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye chedan soge chonam la chanchu pato dame kyap soche dagi che ki ber sonange doga kenje sangye duba Sangye chedan soge chonam la chanchu pato dame kyap soche Dagi che gi be sonam ke dola penje sangye doba. Uh, so the topic of this weekend on spiritual guide and the power of reliance on the spiritual guide properly, correctly. So yesterday we spoke a little bit about why spiritual guide or spiritual teacher is important. Yesterday we talked about that. And we talk about especially for those who are committed themselves to the spiritual path and that they want to have the spiritual realization or spiritual experiences. That become very important. As I mentioned, if you are not interested in that, if you are just there to collect information and knowledge, then maybe it's not so important. As I mentioned, you have many other resources to do that. But if you want to go beyond just collecting the information and knowledge, but that we want to have some kind of internal transformations, especially spiritual experiences and realization, as is described in many of those teachings, then having a spiritual guide, teachers, and relying correctly, properly become very important. And also yesterday I read a quotation from his own Dalai Lama in relation to that. And then of course in all the lamrim and all is very clear from the very beginning. And not only we need to have a, for that kind of who are so committed and interest, not only they need to rely correctly to the spiritual guide or teachers, but to whom you rely, that teachers need to be authentic and qualified teachers. That is very important. Lama Tsongkhapa said, you cannot give, he gave an example like in the animal yak, they use for carrying things, in the old times. So they have in their nose what you call rope, so they can pull them, Well, so he said you cannot give that rope to anyone. Lama Tsongkhapa says, wherever he pulled that way, you go that, he pulled that way, or wherever. You need to give that someone who is qualified, authentic. Otherwise, you can be misguided, you can be misled. Otherwise, you can unqualified, unauthentic spiritual teachers can mislead you, misguide you. So to whom you can totally trust, that need to be qualified. And then yesterday we spoke a little bit. And of course, those who are more interested, go more detailed, you can study lamrim you know, in all of them, they give very clear what are those qualities, what kind of internal qualities that need to, qualifications, that one need to possess in order to become that kind of qualified, authentic spiritual guide and teacher to whom you can trust. So we spoke about that yesterday. We also spoke a little bit about some of the 8 benefits that is described in the lamrims, easy path, quick path, and all other lamrims, where what are the benefits of having a spiritual guide and teachers, and by relying on them, what are the benefits? They describe the benefit, the spiritual benefits. So we kind of talk a little bit about that, and also we talk about even when you find qualified, authentic, qualified spiritual guide or teachers where you can trust. Even when we find that, even when you have trust, still you have to use your wisdom, mind, to cautions. You should be able to cautions, not take it everything blindly. Even someone you trust, you should be able to cautions, when you need to, and not to have that contradictions. To be able to have trust at the same time to cautions when you need to be cautious. Because I find for a lot of Westerners, they find that contradictions, and so they have either afraid, fearful to commit themselves, and once they commit, they feel like they cannot caution. And that is, I think, there is some kind of not full knowledge or understanding, And yesterday I give example. We are cautioning Buddha himself, and surely we need to caution our spiritual guide, teachers, So when you trust someone, doesn't mean you blindly take everything. Even you trust someone, but still, even in our normal, you trust certain brand in terms of food, in terms of different objects. You trust that brand because you know they are good, but still you want to check. Don't you check? I think you check. Just because you trust, it doesn't mean that you don't check, you don't caution, you don't investigate, and that it shouldn't be contradictions. I think that is the main thing. I think if you don't fully understand, you should caution, If you have some kind of, not so clear, you should caution. You should be able to, without any hesitations, should be able to caution. And, qualified spiritual guide or teachers should be able to listen it without being offended by such cautions, and to be able to give clarifications, to clarify something that one is not so clear about something, And so, and we feel that we need a spiritual guide, spiritual teachers, but we're afraid to commit ourselves for, as I mentioned, we feel like maybe I cannot caution. Maybe you feel like that I have to trust blindly, follow everything they says, that you lose your fear of losing your freedoms, fear of losing your ability to make your judgment. Again, those are just misunderstanding. And therefore, we wait until we find the perfect. When your mind is not perfect, you cannot find anyone perfect. You wait in relationship until you find perfect. You are not going to find that one. You wait until you are perfect to have children. For someone who have interest in having children, you cannot find that time. So until we ourselves are perfect, we cannot see everything perfect. Even there is perfect, we cannot see it perfectly. Therefore, we cannot find perfect one. Even Buddha himself, during the Buddha's time, even his cousin, Devadatta, couldn't find Buddha perfect. He found so much faults. He found so much faults, and many others at that time. So the reason they cannot see perfect and they find fault is because of their own mind. In Devadatta cases, he was very jealous of Buddha. Devadatta was very jealous from the quite young age, because Buddha being the crown, the prince who's going to be kingdom, and Devadatta was never going to be a king. And so Buddha got more attention as a Siddhartha in the royal families. So he felt jealous, because he didn't get the same attention as Siddhartha was getting. Then later, Buddha left the kingdom and became a monk. Again, he got a lot of attentions, followers. Devadatta didn't get that kind of attention, followers. Again, he became jealous. And when his mind is jealous, then you started to see a lot of faults in whom you are jealous about. It's not because necessarily there's fault in that person, but due to your jealousy mind, your mind started to, paint. You started to see differently. And so therefore, if we are waiting to find someone who is perfect, you will probably never find it until you perfect your mind. So I think those are some things that I think, one, So then when, I think then that is when is the time, So again, as I mentioned, of course, for you need to study a little bit more on those subjects, the qualifications from the teacher side, qualifications from the student side, and then trying to develop those qualifications, and then, instead of rushing it, rushing it because of emotional feeling at a certain point, you take time to give enough time to investigate, analyze. Sometimes people, they meet someone and then, emotional something happens. And then in that moment, they feel something special and then they rush without investigating, spending time enough properly. And that is emotional. You felt that, but you might not feel that later. And then you started to see many faults, and then you started to have negative thoughts, negative feelings. So again, shouldn't rush in that way. Study what it means, what are those, and giving little time to contemplate, and investigate, analysis, And after some time, if you feel you are ready, and from that, you feel that person is qualified, even though you see not perfect, even though you see there's such weakness, such shortcoming, whether it's from their side or whether it's coming from your side. It could be from their side or it could be from your side, your mind. It could be both, a little bit there, a little bit from your mind, But as long as you feel they have those qualifications, those qualities that you inspire to cultivate, and they can help you to cultivate those qualities, then I think, then is the time, So yeah, that is a little bit. So how to rely? So I want to go on that, Once you find qualified spiritual teachers or guidance, how to rely correctly, properly. And as again in all the lamrim, easy path and all the lamrim, as it's mentioned, there are two main, how to rely with the thoughts, with the mind, and how to rely in actions. Two main kind of categories, main points. In terms of how to rely mentally through the thoughts, then there are two main points, how to develop the faith and the trust, and then how to develop respect. So those two kind of points. In terms of how to develop the first point of the faith and the trust, then of course there are certain meditation practice. Those are one thing. And the other things, your own observations and your own investigations, having spent little time. And it's important to investigate yourself better than coming from someone else. Because every different people have different feelings towards, we don't have same feelings. Some people might felt that person very bad, and someone might feel this person is the best persons. Sometimes it's hard to fully know just by from someone else, because maybe someone else has good relationship in there for their experience, really good experience. So what they are saying, oh, is great and this and that. If you just follow that, you might not have the same experience. On the other hand, someone might have bad experience. Again, by following that, then it sounds like that person is a real bad person, but it might not be that. So again, of course, we try to get as much, but the best way is to kind of analyze yourself directly, investigate, yourself, because it's also something karma, suitable, not suitable, we all are different mind, different inclination, different way of thinking. And so sometimes, for someone who is so powerful, inspirations, for someone it might not be the same way. Someone might not feel the same way. And that is, so individually, we want to find ourselves, And sometimes what we try to do is, and I think everything's spiritual, also non-spiritual object thing, we try to go the best, Sometimes best might not be best for you. That is the key. It's not about whether that's best, it's whether it's best for me or not. A lot of time, we just follow what others says and what is best in general. There are stories about, because of karmic connections and many other factors, sometimes bodhisattvas are able to help certain individuals more than the Buddha themselves. There's a story of bodhisattva always crying. In the Prajnaparamita Sutta, they say, and in that stories, this bodhisattvas, always crying, has achieved certain concentrations and have achieved certain path. And due to that concentration, to be able to receive teaching directly from the Buddha, he was able to receive teaching directly from Buddha. But he had a very strong connection with this bodhisattva, another bodhisattva. And so, and so then he go in the search of that bodhisattva. And then the long stories, but finally he get to see him and meet him and then starts receiving teachings and all that. For him, he was able to get more and he improved or progress more by having come in contact that bodhisattva. Why? Because of certain karmic connection and other factors. So it is not sometimes always about who is more enlightened, who is less enlightened. Sometimes we tend to think that way. If it's more enlightened, then that would be better for you. Less enlightened, less. But again, that doesn't seem to work the cases all the time. Also, there's stories about Milarepa, for example, when Milarepa was in search of the Dharma, and when he went to meet the teachers who is known for, the most relies and most highest teachers on Mahamudra at that time, in that around that area in that time, when he went and saw the teachers, and he asked, of course, many things, but about one of the question is, do you have the teachings or transmissions or instructions to achieve fully awaken quickly? And the master said, yes, I have such instructions or teachings or transmissions. I have transmission. If you meditate in the daytime, where you can become enlightened daytime, if you meditate in the nighttime, where you can become enlightened in nighttime. And Milarepa said, oh, So then he started to, I can meditate in the night or daytime, maybe in the futures later, because I can get enlightened in that so quickly. So he became a little bit kind of lazy, He didn't work very hard. And the teacher saw him, how he was behaving or how he was engaging in his practice. And then the teacher says, this method or this teaching is or instruction is not for you. And he said, you have someone, Marpa, the great translator Marpa, you seem to have strong karmic connection with them. If you go there, it will be more beneficial for you. And then that's when he went in the search of Marpa. And then he found Marpa and studied with him. And Marpa didn't make him easy at all. And because I think that was what is needed, If he was someone who is working so hard, when he went to that teacher was different, maybe it might have been different. And maybe he might be advised to take it easy. But since he was not, the Marpa made him work very hard, And through that, he was able to make progress and all of that. So what I'm trying to show is, even though that teacher was more known or when known as more enlightened, let's say, than Marpa, but because he didn't have that strong karmic connections, and also because of certain other factors, didn't inspire him so much. But when he met the Marpa, it inspired him so much. So yeah, the point is that I'm talking because we tend to go, sometimes we tend to, this is the most enlightened, this is the best. So you always want to go for that best, the most enlightened, and this and that. But on personal level, sometimes you don't know, who is less enlightened can inspire you more. So that is where I'm saying, finding the best for yourself. What is best for yourself? Not based on what others says and reputations and all that, but finding for yourself. That is another important factors that when we are kind of checking for our own spiritual guide to take consideration in some of those points can be helpful, beneficial. Even when I went to, Sherab monastery, even when I was, looking for teachers with whom I study, um, of course, investigating, um, listening to their teachings, knowing them a little bit, and all of that, There were one teacher that I kind of wanted to study with, and also more well known. And then I had other teachers who's a little bit less well known. And I was thinking, if I go to this teacher who is more well known, he has much more students. And even our classmate, there's much more students in his class. And there is another teacher who is a little bit less known than him, who have less students, and also some of our classmates also go, but very small numbers. And I choose that because I will get the opportunity to ask more. I will get more opportunity to interact and study more. When you have so many, you don't have time to interact. You don't have time to caution. You don't have that. You don't have much access sometimes, And for me, that was one factor. I decided to go with these teachers, even though other teacher has better, what you call, more renown or more more renowned. And it's served me well, and also maybe there's some karma too, the other teachers actually didn't. He passed quite soon, So if I had gone to him, I wouldn't be able to have studied much. With other teachers, I study, and still I continue to study whenever I get opportunity, So anyway, those are the things, like from my point of view, what I'm doing is not based on the reputations, not based on how they are well known or how much reputation, but based on what is more helpful, beneficial in your study, in your spiritual path, So again, those can be certain others consideration factors that can be that we try to take in. So then we are talking about the how to rely on thought and actions, and in terms of relying properly through the thought, cultivating the trust and faith. And in relation to that, we are talking about, meditating, the analytical meditation that we will go through, some analytical meditations, and also visualization meditation that we will kind of implement with the practice of the Lama Tsongkhapa Buddha Yoga. And then, the other things in relation to that is, where I'm talking about investigating, analyzing. So the more you investigate, analyze, the more you get to know. you begin to have more trust and more confidence and more faith, develop more of that. Not only just sitting meditation, but also through your own direct experience, having your own direct experience, having, maybe having and having seen how they behave, they respond, how they act, and all of that can be other factors. Not only just sitting meditations, also those can be also helpful factors. So in terms of the meditations, analytical meditations, then in all these lamrim, they go through 4 points of meditations. And first, before the going to 4 points, first, in all the Mahayana teachings, especially in all the lamrim, they advise and encourage to try to see the spiritual guide as a Buddha, If you are able to see them as a Buddha, then, a lot of negative thoughts will kind of not arise. A lot of negative thoughts will not arise. The more ordinary you see them, the more negative thought could arise more easily. The more ordinary you see, the more fault you might see them. The more like you able to see them as Buddha, the less fault you see in them. That is one. So a lot of negative thoughts can be ceased or can stop from arising. Also, by being able to see them in that way, more enlightened and more less fault and more qualities, then you are able to receive more. You are able to gain more, receive more from them. Sometimes it's not only about what information or what experience or teachings, knowledge the teacher shared, how much you receive, how much you receive. Also, a lot of time also from your side, how open your mind is. How open your mind is. If your mind is not open, even though the teachers might be very enlightened, very knowledgeable with all the experiences, but you cannot receive it because you have closed your mind. You are unable to receive it because you have closed your mind. But when you open your mind, and that is when you see that person as Buddha or more enlightened, you kind of create better condition to be more open to receive. And when your mind is more receptive, you are able to receive more. You are able to get more. Check it out yourself. I myself have noticed and found that, when my mind is open and receptive, every word sinks in. Every word has meaning. Every sentence becomes meaningful. Well, when my mind is not receptive, then all these words are just words. Nice words, eloquent words. But in terms of really, being effective in touching your heart, transforming your heart, it doesn't become that. With that, what I have noticed or I've experienced, learned is not only about the teacher themselves, it's also about how receptive, how open your mind is. You know, a lot of time we think it's only the teacher itself, you know, but no, you know, same teachers, same words, and some people find every words of that teachers very effective, transformative, touching. For some, they have totally different experience. They started to have aversions, resistance, all of that. It's the same teachers, but the difference is because one was more receptive and one wasn't receptive. You know, one's mind was more open, one's mind wasn't as open. That makes the difference. You know, so that is where when we see someone, you know, as bodhisattva, your mind become more open and receptive. And if you see that even more high level bodhisattvas, your mind become more receptive, more open. And when you see someone as a Buddha, your mind become more open and more receptive. On the other hand, when you see someone as an ordinary, someone who has knowledge, but very ordinary, then your mind is not as open and receptive. And then you don't, so that is one, you know, why we train in our practice, meditation, trying to see as a Buddha, you know, for that purpose, for that reasons, so that we are able to gain more, able to receive more, that it become more transformative, you know, how so that each of those teachings, even each word, become very meaningful, transformative, you know, changing your mind, your heart, you know. So it doesn't just become a dry, intellectual knowledge, you know. Sometimes I hear people's, oh, those teachings too dry, too intellectual, or that teacher's teaching is so experiential, so and so. But when I notice it, it's because they were more receptive to that teacher, because their mind was more open, because they have different perspective on that, or because their relation with that teacher, they didn't have same. So they look at teacher as ordinary, and because of that, they don't find same way they find with other teachers. Sometimes even that teacher is giving some experiential teachings. For them, it doesn't become experience. It still feel like dry intellectual. But there are other students who have a different connection with their teachers and who doesn't see them so ordinarily, and their mind is kind of more open, receptive. For them, they feel differently and they receive differently. And with that, that is clear sign. It's not only dependent on the teacher, it's also dependent on the student themselves. That's why it's a both, you know. And so that is one of the reasons I'm talking about here, why we try to see. And one should try to see that more as an enlightened, you know, and also, you know, we can do that if we train ourselves to do that, you know, as we train our mind, and as we are able to see them more and more enlightened, then you are able to see and feel more and more positive quality of them. And you see less and less fault of them. And when you see less fault, more positive qualities, then, you know, it doesn't give arise to many of those negative thoughts, emotions, and also it allows us to, you know, receive and get the teachings and become more effective. So that is, and so then coming to the point, the fourth point of that meditation. The first point is to see, the Vajradhara himself and the Buddha himself, Buddha Shakyamuni in sutras, as well as the Vajradhara in some of others tantric teachings. They themselves have said in some of those that in the futures that I will come as a spiritual guide, as a spiritual teachers. Sometime in the form of Buddha, sometime in the form of Bodhisattvas, sometime in the form of, Arhat, sometime in the form of ordinary beings. Wherever is most beneficial for those individuals, I will manifest and come as that. The Buddha himself said, sometimes it is necessary to come as animals, in the form of animals. Not only as ordinary human beings, but sometimes when it is more beneficial to come as an animal's form to help and benefit certain individuals, that he will do that. So therefore, someone who is Buddha doesn't always necessarily appear as a fully awakened and perfect. They can appear as imperfect. They can appear as an imperfect. So when someone who appear to us as an imperfect, with a lot of faults, with a lot of mistakes, it doesn't always necessarily mean that is the reality. Even fully awakened, the more perfect Buddha can manifest and appear in those forms because, I think, if you look in the world, including, I think here, including the president, I think some people connect him because they feel, even he's, or not, they feel he's like us, full of faults. They cannot connect with someone who is perfect because they are not perfect. So because they are not perfect, sometimes they don't feel that way. And I have never thought that way, but someone just recently mentioned that in one of the conversations. And again, sometimes for certain people it's like that. They don't feel someone is perfect and you are so imperfect. You feel like you are not part of them, they are not part of you. You don't feel connected. But they see someone is perfect. They feel I'm imperfect. Oh, he's just like me, imperfect. So sometimes that is why for certain individuals, to help benefit, they have to feel they are part of them, they are connected, they are that. And so in that cases, sometimes they have to appear imperfect, manifest or appears imperfect. Even in they are perfect. When you talk about the Buddha. And so that is where the Vajradhara and Buddha said in the futures, that I will come and manifest as a spiritual guide, teachers, and in some cases, even as an imperfect, ordinary, whatever is most beneficial and needed and helpful. So therefore, we cannot say for sure this is not Buddha because he or she appear imperfect. Unless you can read the mind completely. If someone can read their mind completely, then you will be able to tell that, whether they are enlightened or enlightened. But if you cannot read, then just from the appearance, it's hard to judge. It's hard to judge someone from just from the outside appearance. That is where a lot of time people get misled by the external outside appearance. So therefore, with that, then we try to see, even it appeared to my mind, imperfect with a false, but again, it doesn't, for sure, doesn't mean, it's not the Buddha, because the Buddha himself has said by himself that he will appear in such form in the futures. So that is one kind of contemplation, meditation. And if you want to go more detailed, then if it helps, then you can use different quotations, different sutra and those, what Buddha actually said. And, I don't need to go each of them. But again, if you are interested, then you can study the lamrim in these sections of that. And then you will see many different quotations by Vajradhara and others in the different sources where they have mentioned that. And you can find in those scriptures that. Second point of meditations in that relation to that, that our spiritual guide, our spiritual teachers is the medium from whom we receive all the Buddha's enlightened activities. Blessings, inspirations, teachings, instruction is through that teacher, because we don't have direct access to the Buddha themselves. So the blessings, the inspirations, the teachings, the instructions, that it all come through that. All come through the spiritual guide, spiritual teachers. One of the master, I think, one of the Sakya Pandit, he gave an example. The teachers are like the magnifying glass from where the sun go and burn when you need to make a fire, Sun directly cannot make fire. But when you have that glass and the sun go through that, and then through that, then it can make fire. So that is like, the sun is like the Buddhas and their enlightened activities. And our spiritual guide and teachers like that glass from magnifying glass, from whom we receive all these inspirations, blessings, instructions, all of that. The reason is because we cannot have direct access at the moment. And then, how is it possible, the Buddha, to rely on someone unenlightened as a medium to send their activities? So the medium itself is enlightened, is in that form of ordinary form, but actually is enlightened. because if the Buddha has to depend on something unenlightened in order to reach out the sentient beings to send their activity, then that seems like Buddha is not fully awakened. So therefore, the medium itself is the enlightened, but in a different form, ordinary form. And therefore, again, the spiritual guides, spiritual masters, or the spiritual teachers is the Buddha because he or she is the mediums from whom we receive all the blessing, and that medium cannot be unenlightened, for the enlightened being to be able to send their activities. And so again, from that perspective, from that way, again, one way of trying to feel that the spiritual guru or guide or teachers must be fully awakened, the Buddha himself, So it's with each of those meditations, with each of those practices, is reinforced that they are enlightened, that the teacher is the enlightened, is the Buddha. And when you are able to feel that and reinforce that, then you don't have to force. You don't have to force the faith, the trust. It will come naturally. At the moment, a lot of time we try to force, because that is not coming naturally. We feel like, I have to have faith. I have to have faith. So you were trying to force it. You don't feel it, but you feel like I have to have faith. I have to have faith. So you are forcing yourself. And that doesn't work that way. The mind doesn't work that way. It has to come. You have to feel the faith. You have to feel the trust of naturally. And that will come if you really feel they are more enlightened. The Buddha. Once you can really feel that, then you don't have to force yourself to feel the faith. It will come. Because we cannot feel that at the moment, then we try to force ourselves. And even with that force, we don't really feel it. Because the foundation is not there to feel that way. And so that to feel that way, then that is where the meditation, the practice here. And third point of the meditations, is there have been countless Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who have generated this bodhicitta mind and engaged in the path in order to help benefit each and every sentient beings, making those commitments, having generated bodhicitta mind, having engaged those path, not only to help, but to help each and every sentient beings. There must be Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who are trying to help me. Otherwise, all their bodhicitta mind, all their bodhisattva path, it doesn't make sense. When they have made this commitment and to help and benefit each and every sentient beings. So they must be around here trying to help and benefit me. It is not possible that there is no Buddha or Bodhisattva who is trying to help me. There is no Buddha at all who is trying to help and benefit me. If they are not able to help me, then that means they are unable to many other sentient beings. And that means even after fully enlightened, they are unable to help all sentient beings. Then what is the point of trying to achieve fully enlightenment? It loses the very purpose of that if they cannot help. The purpose of trying to achieve what fully enlightened, so they can help benefit each and every sentient beings. If that is the case, if they have achieved enlightenment and if they have achieved those the qualification, those qualities, they must be helping, benefiting each and every sentiment. That means also me, they must be trying to help me now, you know. How do they help? How do they help? And the Buddha himself said, you know, in one of the sutta, I cannot take your suffering like that, as if you have been pricked by a thorn, that he can pull it down and then take the pain away. I cannot wash your negative karma just as you can wash your physical dirts. Nor I can transplant or give my inner realizations to you just as I can pass the cup. I cannot pass my realization like that. But what I can do to help is show the path, by showing the path. So that is what tuna dina tu do dunga chake mi sa do ni to wa sha pum shunyi de bet be to wa by showing the path, by showing the truth, you know. That is what I can help you. And that is how the Buddha helped, by showing us the path to overcome our own afflictive emotions. How to overcome afflictive emotions? By showing the method, by showing the way, by showing the path, how to reduce and gradually eliminate all those afflictive emotions, and how to actualize and fully develop all those positive inner qualities, such as unconditional, limitless love, compassion, bodhicitta, mind, wisdom, and so forth, those inner qualities. Buddha himself, that's how I can help the sentient beings. So if there is any Buddha trying to help me now, that will be how they are trying to help me now. Who is to do that? Is my spiritual guide, is my spiritual teacher who is trying to do that. So he or she must be the Buddha's, you know, who's trying to help me by showing the path. Because there must be a Buddha who's trying to help me in that way. And if I try to find out who is that, then this is the one. Otherwise, then you have to say there's no Buddha who is trying to help me. So when you analyze, investigate, and think that way, then it feels, you know, it must be. It must be. And therefore, you know, this spiritual teacher, spiritual guide, you know, must be the Buddha, because there's no other kind of way to, you know, there's no other way how Buddha is helping me at this time, you know. And because that is how the Buddha is going to help. And so again, that is the third point of meditations. Okay, so we will have a break. Chanjo semjo rembo che ma ge pa na ke kyo che kya wa nyam pa me pa kong le kong tu ke wa sho. Okay, we have 15-minute break. So we are going to do the practice of Guru Yoga, Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga of Ganden Lha Gyäma. And normally, you know, there are many Guru Yoga, you know, some of them are more related with Tantra, and some of them, you know, Sutra. And Ganden Lha Gyäma can be more like Sutra Guru Yoga of Lama Tsongkhapa. So you don't need the initiation and like that to do that. Um, and again, you know, normally there is a Ganden Lha Gyäma, which is not so long, but the one we do here is kind of, you know, some some more practice added by Lama Tsongkhapa Rinpoche, you know, and even that sometimes there are longer versions, shorter versions. So again, you know, when you have less time, you can do more shorter. When you have more time, you can do more longer. You know, when you have more time, you can take more time in the meditations practice. When you have less, then so again, you know, all can be kind of what you call flexible, not rigid. You don't. When we do a long life pujas for His Holiness, you know, some of them, if you extend it, can be one whole day, sometimes 2, 3 days, and sometimes it's half days, and sometimes it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So again, you know, depending on individual's time and that how you want to expand or not expand, you know. So this is just some ideas with different practices, you know. Even though there are that, it's not always, we don't have to feel rigid about that, you know. Some practice, you know, one master put it, and then later master add something, another master add little bit, another master let, and it can be long. But when you don't have those time, you can do the the shorter version, the middle version, all of that, you know. So sometimes because when you get it like that, then you feel like either you have to do everything or you don't do it. And then you feel like you don't have time to do everything because it's going to take so long because there's so much additions and all of that. Then you don't do it at all. And that is a sad and lose the opportunity to practice. And so that is, again, yeah. Okay, so again, let's try to keep yourself comfortable. Make yourself comfortable. Try to keep your back straight. And then watch the breath mindfully. Mm. And then we can try to generate good motivation by thinking the purpose of my life is to be help and benefit, not only just for myself, but for other sentient beings as much as I can. And not only to help other sentient beings, but to be able to help each and every sentient beings in the best way. I must achieve fully awakened state myself. In order to achieve that fully awakened state, I must engage in the Bodhisattva path, actualize renouncing mind of the non-attachment, true loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta mind, and wisdom relies on ultimate truth. And to actualize those inner positive qualities, I must contemplate, meditate, practice. Therefore, I'm going to engage in this Guru Yoga, Lama Tsongkhapa Guru Yoga. So then you can visualize all sentient beings surrounding you as vast as the space, engage in practice together with you. Especially if you want to dedicate for someone, you can specially think of them. And in the space in front of you, you can visualize, Buddha Shakyamuni is your root guru, but in the form of Buddha Shakyamuni, who is Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, all in one, who is also embodiment of all the enlightened beings. Okay, so then if we go to the practice itself, well, I don't see the page number. Do you have the page number? Okay. Okay, refuge and bodhicitta. So again, while we recite those words, try to feel as much as possible. The words are just tools to feel it. The main is coming from your heart. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly, I take refuge until I attain enlightenment. Through the merits of practicing generosity and so on, may I attain the Buddhahood to benefit transmigrated beings. Sangye chodan soge chonam la chanchu patu dane kyatso che. Dagi jin soge be sonam ke. Dola penje sangye duba sho. Sangye chodan soge chonam la chanchu patu dane kyatso che. Dagi jin soge be sonam ke. Dola penje san do para show. Then four immeasurable. I think this is the longer versions. Okay. So again, since we don't have the shorter version here, so we do that one. Is there? Phase 3? Okay, I think maybe this is the older version, I think. Okay. So, oh, okay, thank you. When we have time, then we can do the longer versions. But again, okay, thank you. Again, not only recite, try to feel as much as possible in your heart. May all sentient beings have happiness and causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separated from happiness that knows no suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free of attachment and hatred for those held close and distant. So then we go to the actual practice itself. So we start with the invocations. Some of you might be familiar, some of you might not be familiar. But again, if you're not familiar at the moment, don't worry. So we invoke here the Lama Tsongkhapa and his two sons, spiritual sons, known as Gyatso Rinpoche and Keri Rinpoche, from the heart of the from the heart of the material, from the Tushita. Normally you will have a pictures in Ganden Lha Gyäma, on the top. There is the material in the pure Tushita, pure land, and then surrounded. There's a description of that pure land that we don't need to go, and then from the heart of that material Buddhas is in the form of compassion, in the form of white clouds, and from the midst of that white clouds, then Lama Tsongkhapa and his two spiritual sons are invoked and then visualized in front of us, in the space. And that cloud is, surrounding the Lama Tsongkhapa two sons, and that cloud, without any disruptions or without any cut, it continues to go to the material's heart. So if you can visualize, and you can try to visualize, but otherwise you can just think it is there as is described, okay? So then we decide from the heart of the Savior of 100 deities of Tushita, on the peak of cloud resembling a clumps of extremely white fresh curd, King of Dharma, the omniscient Lobsang Tapa, please come here together with your son. And then we visualize as they've been involved. In the sky before me, on the lion throne, lotus and moon, my perfect pure Guru smiles with a delight as a supreme field of merit for my mind of faith. Please abide for hundreds of aeons to spread the teachings. So you can imagine and visualize in front of you, on top of the throne and the lotus and moon cushions, Lama Tsongkhapa on the center, a little bit higher, and then two sons. Gyatso Rinpoche on the right side of Lama Tsongkhapa, Kedu Rinpoche on left side. Then they are in the, Lama Tsongkhapa both are there they are monks in the monk's form, wearing the monk's robe, with a yellow painted head, all of them. And in Lama Tsongkhapa in the teaching mudra, holding the Upala lotus on top of that, which is the wisdom sword on the right side, and wisdom sutra, Paramita Sutra, on top of the lotus on the left side. And Gyatso Rinpoche, Kedu Rinpoche, left in the meditative posture and right holding the scriptures. And they're all smiling with the loving kindness, compassion. So try to feel the presence of them, that they are there. And it is our root guru or spiritual teachers, but in the form of Lama Tsongkhapa. So try to feel that as well. Okay, so then we continue. Your holy mind has intelligence that understands the full existence of the object to be none. Your holy speech with excellent explanations is an ornament for the year of those good fortune. Your holy body is radiantly beautiful glory renown. To you who are beautiful to see, hear, and remember, I prostrate. And there's next offering. Please drinking water, various flowers, fragrant incense, lights, scented water, and so forth. Ocean of clouds like offering, both actually arranged and mentally emanated. I offer to you the supreme field of merit. You can imagine we make all these offerings and they're delightful, they accept those offerings to help us to give opportunity to create a merit, as well to help us to let go of grasping to the things. And next, whatever non-virtues of body, speech, and mind I've collected from beginner's time, especially those opposed to the three vows, I confess each and every one from my heart with a fervent regret. So we imagine or we recall whatever unwholesome, unskillful, unwholesome action that we have created through body, speech, and mind. We acknowledge and recognize those are not helpful, beneficial. Those are harmful to others and oneself. With that, we regret. We make a strong resolution not to try all our best not to engage in them again in the future. Okay, next. Rejoicing, you strove to accomplish much healing in this age and made your freedom in rich meaningful by abandoning the eight worldly concerns. Savior, we sincerely rejoice in your extent deeds. And we try to rejoice to all the incredible contributions of Lama Tsongkhapa towards the Dharma, towards the sentient beings, having established some of the biggest monastic learning institutions that has established for more than 600 years, continue to produce so many great scholars, practitioners. Okay, next. Perfect, pure, holy gurus from the billowing clouds of wisdom and compassion in the sky of Dharmakaya. Please let fall the rain of profound and extensive Dharma upon the earth of those we subdue, exactly as they need. So you can imagine making offerings of the Dhamma chakra, Dhamma wheel, and make this request. And Lama Tsongkhapa, Guru Lama Tsongkhapa delightfully accept to help to teach and show the path. Next, may whatever virtues I've collected benefit the teachings and all transmagnetic beings, and may it especially cause the essence of perfect pure Losang Tapa's teaching to shine forever. Sa shi pe ki chung shin me to yang ri ra de chi yin de gen ba de Sangye Shintu Mi Te Wa Dokun Namanta Shin Pai Sho. May I and all sentient beings meet the teaching of the victorious one, Losang Tapa, who lived in eminent life, endowed the pure morality, heart in doing the both extensive deeds, and the yoga of two stages is proven transcendental wisdom of non-dual bliss and emptiness. Idam Guru Rana Mentala Kamniyataya. Is that the Mixema? Page 10. Oh, that's right. Okay. So there are few different visualization that we can use as is at the heart of Lama Tsongkhapa, visualizing Manjushri as is described, at the heart of the Gyatso Rinpoche on the right, Avalokiteshvara, the Buddha of compassion, on the left, in Hedu Rinpoche heart, visualizing the Vajrapani, the Buddha of power or skillful means. That is one, or we can do without those visualizations, just Lama Tsongkhapa and two spiritual sons. Or also we can do visualization, all the three deities in Lama Tsongkhapas, at the crown, Manjushri, by the speech, Avalokiteshvara, at the heart, Vajrapani, also that. So again, so those are few different visualizations that one can do, so, okay, so, but we will do one of them. First, we do the recitation and visualization, cleansing away the impurity. By the force of my having fervently request in this way from the heart of the three, the perfect pure Father and Son, hollow beams of white lights are emanate and combine into my crown. White nectar, the color of milk, flow from the opening of the tube of the white light, cleansing away all my sickness, spirit harm, negative karma, obscurations, and the imprint without exception. My body become as pure and clear as crystal. So as we recite the Mixema down here, so we try to keep that visualizations. So again, try to think, is my root guru, okay, but in the form of Lama Tsongkhapa, together with his two sons, spiritual son. And you can visualize, at the moment, we try to keep it more simple. At the heart of at the crown, we visualize Om letter syllable, white Om syllable. At the throat, visualize red R syllable. And the heart, blue Hung syllables. Of both Guru Lama Tsongkhapa and both two sons. And we make a strong request to the Guru Lama Tsongkhapa and two sons to help us, inspire us, and to bless us, to purify, to cleanse, to overcome all the illness, all the physical, emotional, mental illness, all the negative karma, negative potentials, and all the afflictive emotions, the delusions, and all the obscurations. So make a strong, heartfelt request to help us, to inspire us to cleanse, purify, overcome all of them. And Guru Lama Tsongkhapa and two sons are extremely happy and pleased by our request. So as we recite the Mixema, first with 3 times each, from the Om, white Om on the crown of Lama Tsongkhapa, two suns, white light nectar flows into oneself and all sentient beings and cleans and purify, just like taking shower, flush out, cleans and purify all the illness, all the negative karma, negative potential, all the afflictive emotion of duration completely. So while keeping that visualization, we recite Miksema. Maybe we recite one in English, so do you know what we are saying? And then after that, we do in Tibetan. Sherab, the great treasure of non-objectifying compassion. Menju Shiri, master of strength and wisdom. Lord of secret, destroyer of the entire force of Mara. Tsongkhapa, crown ornament of stages of land of snow. Losang Tapa, at your holy feet, I make request. Ingme zeve dejen chere si, time kembe ombo jambe yang. Tibo mali zomje sangwe ta, kanjin kebe zonggen zonggaba. Losang tabe shabla sowa te, mingme zeve dejen chere si, time kembe ombo jambe yang. Debo mali zomje sangwe ta, kanjin kebe songken zonggaba. Losang tabe shabla sowa dem. So imagine, visualize from that Om syllables of Lama Tsongkhapa and two suns, white light, nectar flow. Those white light and nectar, and also the white syllable, are their transcendental enlightened wisdom in the form of the syllable, in the form of light and nectar. And completely cleansing, purifying, flushing all the illness, all the negative karma, all the delusion, obscuration, especially all the negative karma that we have created from our body through physically, such as taking the life of others, stealing, engaging in sexual misconduct, and so forth. All these negative karma that have been created by physically have been completely washed out, clean, purified. As we recite more from the R, red R syllable at the throat of Lama Tsongkhapa, two suns, red light nectar flow, cleanse, purify again all the illness, negative karma, delusion, obscuration, especially all the negative karma that created through the speech have been completely cleansed, purified. While keeping that visualization, again, we recite. Ningme tsebe tejen chere si, time kembe ombo jambe yang, debo male chomje sangwe ta, kanjin kebe zonggen zonggaba, losang tabe shabla sowa de, mingme tsebe tejen chere si, time kembe ombo jambe yang, debo male chomje sangwe ta, kanjin kebe zonggen zonggaba, Lo san ta be shab la so wa te. Mi me te ve te chen che re se. Te me ken be on bo jan be yang. Ye bo ma le chan je san we ta. Kan jin ke be sung gen sung ka ba. Lo san ta be shab la so wa de. Again, imagine, visualize your total convictions as a red light nectar flow from the red R syllable at the throat of Lama Tsongkhapa two sons. All your illness, negative karma, delusion, obscuration are completely clean, purify, flush out. Especially all the negative karma created through our speech by lying, engaging in divisive speech, engaging in harsh speech, and meaningless gossips. Idle that only increase delusions. All of them completely cleansed, purified. As we recite more, visualize from the blue hung syllable at the heart. From that, blue light nectar flow into oneself, all sentient beings, cleanse, purify all the illness, negative karma, delusion, obscuration, especially all the negative karma that we have created mentally, being completely cleansed, purified. Mingme tsebe te chen chere si time kembe ombo jambe yang debo ma le chonje sanwe ta kanjin kebe sungen songa ba lo san ta be shabla so a te Mingme tsebe te chen chere si Time kembe ombo jambe yang ebo ma le chonje sanwe ta kanjin kebe sungen songa ba lo san tak be shabla so wa de ming me zewe de chen chere se time kembe ombo jambe yang Ebo ma le jamje sanwe ta kanjin kebe sungen songka ba lo san ta be shabla so wa de. Imagine, visualize with total convictions with that blue light nectar, all your illness, negative karma, delusion, obscurations, being completely clean, purified, especially negative karma were created with our thoughts and mind, such as strong greediness, ill will feelings, anger, and the wrong view. All of them in clean, purified completely. As we recite more from all three syllables, then simultaneously the white light nectar, as well as a red, blue light nectar flow together with three colors of light and nectar and cleanse and purify all the illness, all the negative karma, delusion, obscuration, especially all the negative karma that we have created through three doors have been completely cleansed, purified. Mingme zewe de chen chere se time kembe ombo jambe yang Debo ma le chamje sanwe da kanjin kebe tsungen tsongkhapa lo san tak be shabla so wa de Ming me zewe de jen jere se. Te me kembe ombo jambe yang. Debo ma le chanje sanwe ta. Kanjin kebe sungen songkapa. Lo san tabe shabla so ate. Ming me zewe de jen jere se. Te me kembe ombo jambe yang. Debo ma le chanje sanwe ta. Kanjin kebe sungen songkapa. Lo san tabe shabla so ate. Mi me zeve de jen chere se, ti me kembe ombo jambe yam, ibo ma lu chamje sanwe da, kanjin kebe zongke zongkapa, lo san da be shab la so wa de, mi me zeve de jen chere se, ti me kembe ombo jambe yam, ibo ma lu chamje sanwe da, kanjin kebe zongke zongkapa, lo san da be shab la so. Ming me zeve de je je de se, ti me kembe ombo jambe ya, de bo ma le chum je sang we. Kang jin kebe zong ke zong ga ba, lo sang da be shab la so wa de. Ming me zeve de je je de se, ti me kembe ombo jambe ya, de bo ma le chum je sang we da. Kang jin kebe zong ke zong ga ba, lo sang da be shab la so wa de. Ming me zeve de je je de se. Ti me kembe ombo jambe yang, dibo ma le jamje sang. Kanjin kebe zongge zonga ba, lo sang da be shab la so wa. Mi me zeve de je je re se, ti me kembe ombo jambe. Dibo ma le jamje sang da, kanjin kebe zongge zonga ba. Lo sang da be shab la so wa de, mi me zeve de je je re se. Ti me kembe ombo jambe yang, dibo ma le jamje sang. Kanjin kebe zonggen zonga ba, lo san da be shab la so wa, mi me zebe de jen che de se, ti me kembe ombo jambe yang, di bo ma de zem de sang we. Kanjin kebe zonggen zonga ba, lo san da be shab la so wa, mi me zebe de jen che de se, ti me kembe ombo jambe, di bo ma de zem de sang we da, kanjin kebe zonggen zonga, lo san da be shab la so wa. So visualize and imagine total convictions as three colors, white, red, blue, nectar and light flow from the Lama two suns, crown, throat, and heart into one's all sentient being, cleanse, purify, flush out completely all the illness, all the cause of illness for the futures, all the negative karma, all the delusion, all the obscuration, especially negative karma created through three doors are completely clean, purified. All become without any trace of those negative energy, crystal clear. And from those three spot with three syllables, yellow, orange color, light nectar flow into one shape, all sentient beings, receiving all the blessings. Of one shape, all sentient beings. Having good, healthy life, increased lifespan, healthy cause for that. All the positive realizations such as true love, compassion, bodhicitta mind, wisdom, glad, and emptiness. Receiving a feel with the whole our body with those spiritual realizations, inner spiritual experience. Is part of our body. Every cell, every atom is made of those spiritual realizations. With that, feeling great bliss on physical level, mental level. Okay, so then we go to page number 15, the request. Okay. May my wisdom of listening, reflecting, meditating increase. May my wisdom in explaining, debating, and composing develop. May I be granted the supreme and common realization. Please bless me to be quickly become like you. And the next one, may my transcendental wisdom of simultaneously born great bliss arise. May my stand of mistakenly grasping things as real be purified. May my nets of doubt that is only in my heart. Please bless me to quickly become like you. Maybe we don't do the lamrim now. Then we go to the page number 19. Magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon at my heart. Guide me to your great kindness and grant me with the realization of your holy body, speech, and the mind. So you imagine, the two suns dissolved into the Lama Tsongkhapa, the throne of two, cushion of two suns dissolved into Lama Tsongkhapa's cushions. And then Lama Tsongkhapa, as we make a request, come above your crown. Okay, then next one. 20. Magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon at my heart. Guide me with your great kindness and grant me the supreme and common realizations. So the cushion dissolved in Lama Tsongkhapa, and Lama Tsongkhapa also dissolved into yourself, in your heart, in your lotus petal of the heart. Next one, magnificent and precious root Guru, please abide on the lotus and moon in my heart. Guide me to your great kindness and remain steadfast until I attain the essence of enlightenment. So then Lama Tsongkhapa, your root Guru Lama Tsongkhapa, in abide in your lotus, heart lotus, and the lotus flows it. And the dedications, by the force of the victorious one, Tsongkhapa, acting as my direct mind and virtuous friend in all my life, may I never turn away for even a second from the pure path highly admired by the victorious one. May I be able to live a pure morality, listen to many teachings, train in bodhicitta, and have pure view and conduct without corrupting the teachings of Losang Thapa, the second and victorious one. Glorious Guru, whatever your holy body, retinue, lifespan, and realm, whatever your supreme and beneficial holy name. May I and others become exactly like that. Due to the three-time merit collected by me, numberless Buddhas, and numberless sentient beings, may I, my family members, all those sentient beings who rely upon me, all those for whom I promise to pray, all those whose name have given to me, all the students, benefactors, and volunteers in the FMG organization, and all other sentient beings be able to meet the perfectly qualified Mayana virtues friend in all our future lives from our side. May we always see them as enlightened. May we always do holy action, most pleasing to holy mind. May we always fulfill the holy wishes and okay, at the moment we okay, we will have a lunch break, then we will meet after that. Thank you.